Greetings, YouTube. Well, due to some recent unfortunate events, I found myself compelled to resume residence with my parents. Yeah. Well, I am sure some of my recent adventures here will find themselves uploaded in a short while, but as of now, I should get back to the subject. Anywho, said being, I find myself with a lot of free time on my hands, and with all this free time, I rarely do anything productive. Things such as watching all the latest episodes of 24, playing online Risk, Facebook. I mean, come on. But through all this, I do find sometimes there's some seriously legitimate discussion, most recently being on a certain online forum about torture. So this torture we're discussing, I'm hoping that by turning to YouTube, I can get a better outlet for my views and also a little more enthusiasm and support for my views, because frankly, the forum that I'm posting on is filled with dimwits. Let's get into the specifics here. Number one, Mr. Al-Qaeda is captured in Iraq in civilian clothing carrying a weapon. And in his pocket are, let's just say, diagrams on how to make a strap-on explosive vest. And in his other pocket, let's just say there are, we could go with one of two. A market schematic or the schematic of a U.S. military base of operations. Either way, he's got these schematics, okay? So we ship his butt over to Gitmo. That'd be Club Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay. You know what I'm talking about. Alright. And there he refuses to talk and tell us about all his little compatriots that run around and want to blow up other stuff. And so Mr. Commander at Gitmo says, stick the buddy in solitary confinement and we'll see what happens. So we do that, and like 10 days later we pull the guy out, and he's just same old, man. I ain't talking to you guys, I ain't talking to you. So we introduce him to this little thing called waterboarding. Alright? So for all of you that don't know what this is, strap someone down to a board, put their back on it, stick a cellophane bag over their mouth and pour water into the cellophane bag. Very effective, very not painful, but very at the same. It's hard to describe. It's not painful, but it's gives you the sense that you're drowning, basically. Very unpleasant, to say the least, but hardly torture. Torture to me is like pulling off fingernails, cutting off fingers one at a time, ears, eyes, that kind of stuff. Or, I mean, torture might be psychological, and like, we're gonna kill your wife and kid. Something like that. Alright, that would be torture. Sticking someone and just like burning little parts of their body until they get that'd be torture. But simulating someone is drowning and them not actually drowning or having any physical harm as soon as the cellophane bag is removed, that's not torture. That's just some kind of psychological trick we play on people. Anyways, this is getting classed as torture. So we'll just have to call it torture for the sake of arguing here so I can continue my argument. My argument being torture is not wrong. Torture is acceptable. Torture is not an action we should take lightly. It's not something we should be doing all the time to everybody. It's something that's necessary in a world that is not black or white all the time. It's something that must be done. It's something that must be done. It just must. Let's face it. There are three types of people in the world. There's the strong, and there's the weak, and there's those that take advantage of the weak. Now, the terrorists are going to torture and kill anybody they can. It's their code. And the only way to stop them is to play by their rules. Now there are some that would say we're better and we need to play by our rules to be better, or else we're no different than them. They don't care. That's what people aren't getting. They could care less if we play by their rules, or by our rules, or by no rules, or if we just all lay down and let them have the whole world. They would still need people to kill so they could still get their virgins and go to heaven. Alright? So, it really comes down to a few people need to do some things that other people just can't bring themselves to do because of their moral conscience. And that's kind of like, yeah. You're looking at me and you're like, oh, who do you think you are telling us that we gotta do something like that? You know what? I can't even believe I'm having this conversation, first of all. I've been making this whole video sitting here trying to put forth a few basic points, and just a thought that's been going through my mind the whole time until this point has been, why do I even have to defend why we should torture somebody who has information that could save thousands and thousands of innocent lives? You know, the simple question comes down to this. If we had caught one of the 9/11 guys before it happened, and the only way to get it was to carve out his eyeball, and he would have told us everything, could have stopped that attack, should we have done it? If any of you can sit there and say we should not have tortured him, get out of my country. Get out of my country. Because that's unpatriotic. That's wrong. No one that is attempting to kill innocent people has any rights. They shouldn't be treated with any kind of dignity or respect. No law should apply to them. That's all I have to say on this subject.